Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome yet again to another episode of the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show here every Tuesday, 7 p.m., bringing to you some of the most incredible, inspirational, and connected women in the business industry. And tonight is going to be no exception, but I'm going to hold it there before I introduce our two guests. That's 2 weeks in a row. I've had two people on at the same time. Oh my goodness, can we get any more? But as you know, if anybody hasn't met me before, my name is Marianne Smith. I am a personal transformation and business coach. I've been coaching for over 30 years and I am the founder of the Fierce and Fabulous Society. And that society I brought together for like-minded, ambitious, professional women who want to build not just their businesses, but also build their families and their lives from that heart-centered place that is within them. And you can join the Fierce and Fabulous Society Facebook group. Just need to pop that into your search bar and have a wee look for it. And you'll see me there wearing one of my other pairs of glasses, actually. I put out a live today in the group. Just anybody that knows me also knows that I do love the old different types of specs. And so the vote tonight was for the aviator look. So this is it, coming live to you, a wee bit of 1970s aviator. But the other news that we have actually, and you may have seen this on social media, is that come the 3rd to the 5th of November, I am really proud to be launching the very first Fierce and Fabulous Society Women in Business Growth Summit 2021. Wow, how cool does that sound? And I will be hosting that summit, bringing to you 9 quite spectacular but incredibly ordinary, down-to-earth businesswomen who have achieved multi-6 and multi-7-figure businesses while juggling families, dealing with all of the normal overwhelm, imposter syndromes, exhaustion, that when you're an entrepreneur and a woman in business, we can feel that is very real. And they'll be coming to you to speak about their own specialisms, their own industries, and being able to share with you what it's been like for them as a businesswoman, what has helped them to overcome those challenges for themselves, and what do they see for 2022? What do you need to have on your radar? And that's whether it is in your life, in your business, because we really can't separate either of them. So that is the 3rd to the 5th of November, and it's a lovely evening one. And we went for an 8 till 10 p.m. because, let's face it, we all want to get in from work, get our dinner on, get the kids sorted, and then settle down with a wee cup of something. And it's going to be your evening for 3 nights in a row. And my own experience from doing summits is that they can be fabulous. But then, so what after it? And because of that, I'm going to put on a 5-day business accelerator challenge for everyone who joins the Fierce and Fabulous Society. And we have amazing guests coming in there as well to help you to put your learning from the summit into practice, and also to get a real plan that's bespoke to you in place for your life, your business in 2022. And I'm really delighted to announce that Masami Sato, who is the CEO and founder of the international organisation and Business for Good, B1G1, is going to be coming in on the Monday the 8th to be speaking to us all about one of amazing subject, happiness in business. Sometimes we can forget about the big H word when we're busy scurrying away like mice as entrepreneurs, trying to reach our goals and get to that big pot of gold at the end of our rainbow. But she's going to be coming in to talk to see how we can bring it alive as we do it. Now, I think that is going to be the perfect introduction to our guests for this evening. Now, these two ladies came into my life earlier this year, and I have to say that they have a kind of sixth sense about them. I can be feeling really rocky, and then suddenly, ping, a little message comes in saying, "Hi, I was just thinking about you." And I think that is creeping me out, because they are across in Canada. They've not been peeking in my windows. There's no way that they could have known that I needed them. But there is that connectivity that is really, really special. So this evening we have with us the amazing Megan Parker and Renee Houtstra. Now, I had to say to Renee before we came in, please check the spelling on that, because I have to check it every single time. Houtstra. That's right, I think. And they are experts in self-sabotage. Now, who can connect with that? Oh boy, I certainly can. They help women go from being burnt out to hopeful and motivated through healing their relationship with, guess what? Yourself. And that is not just for you, but if you start from there, you'll be able to have an impact on others and in your business too, looking at your patterns, cycles, and raising your awareness. Now, what does all that mean? Well, I'm not even going to attempt to tell you. So let's say a lovely hello to Renee and Megan. I told you I'd give you a great introduction, ladies. How are you?
It's lovely. Hello, I'm Megan.
I'm Renee.
It is so amazing to see you. And I meant every single word, because you know I don't blow smoke. And that is just saying it as it is. And you came into my life this year. And that's the most wonderful thing, I think, about being an entrepreneur, is that you're so open to developing and growing. You find yourself suddenly in different circles of people all the time that just open your eyes to new thinking. So to shut me up just for 1 minute, do introduce yourselves to everybody that's listening in tonight, because we've got a really lovely audience that has joined us.
Good. Thank you so much for having us. So I'm Megan.
And I'm Renee.
And together we're Kindred Self-Care Community. And we do, just like you said, we help women identify their patterns of self-sabotage and really take some personal responsibility to find like the balance in their life that they're looking for. And we do that with starting with self-care.
Beautiful. Now, what kind of, because when we talk about, there's some big words in there, because we just talk about women. That's a big brush, isn't it? So is there any particular type of woman? Is she doing any particular thing? What is it what kind of woman is attracted to come and work with you?
Usually they're the ones that are in like the beginning of understanding personal responsibility. And what happens with that is we go through stages where it's just like we want to blame other people for everything that's happening. And then we go through stages where we're like, we're the common denominator.
Like, everything around us is not good.
And it's like really allowing them to have permission to take back the control and back their power of being able to notice that they're in charge of changing the things that they want.
Yeah. A lot of times too, it's like they feeling very anxious, burnt out, kind of stuck in their life. And they're trying this different self-care things. They know that it's like they've gone to a few yoga classes, they're trying meditation, or they're reading some different types of books. They're they know that there's something that they can be doing to like help them along. And then that's where we come in.
Yeah. And they really start noticing it when like their girls' nights aren't being as fulfilling anymore. And, you know, their book clubs and things like that aren't as satisfactory.
The bathtubs the bubble baths aren't cutting it.
Yeah.
Used to work isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying not to nod like a dog. Do you know?
Yes,
because that is so, oh my goodness, do I resonate with that back in my life? I really needed you 20 years ago. Do you know? And it's so important. There was one thing I read that you'd written recently, and that was you'd given an example of when you're just so, you know, something's not right, you're getting so burnt out, and then you think, I know, let's have a night off from the kids. Let's get a babysitter and let's have a night off. And that actually made me laugh when I read this, because then you went on to describe, you know, you get there, the kids are away, and then you sit there and you go, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because you're taking that much time thinking about just getting them done and getting them sorted.
Yeah.
I'd done nothing about actually what I was going to do that evening. I'd then maybe have a sleep, watch a movie, eat a Chinese, and still feel just as bad when they came back. And that happened over and over and over again. And the bubble baths didn't cut it.
Yep.
Totally get it. And I have no doubt that there'll be women listening in tonight going, that's me. So I'm telling you, folks, if you're listening in tonight, we've got quite a few people have joined in. Kerry is in with us tonight, Kerry Hales. And we've got, oh my goodness, Anne McGuire is in. Say hiya there, Anne. So if anybody who's listening tonight is resonating with any of that, pop it into the chat. Now, if you've registered with Restream, we'll be able to see your name. If you haven't, all we'll know is that you're a Facebook user. That's all that comes up. So we won't quite know. So if you can use the links to register with Restream, that would be fabulous. So let us know if that is something you resonate with. Now, ladies, people often say to me, why would you want to engage with other coaches? Because they're your competition. Now, do I work with women? Yep. Do I work with women who are burnt out? Yep. Do we work with overwhelm? Yep. But the big thing is that I'm me and you're you.
Yes.
And we have different audiences as well because of who we are and what we do. So tell me, and I know that I have my journey into this, but tell us about your journey into this, because the one thing I always find myself saying is I can't help you with something if I haven't sorted it out for myself.
Yes, so totally, we agree with that too. We don't teach anything that we don't practice.
Absolutely, because I remember many years of just having total money blocks all the time, not investing in self. How could I coach anybody with that if I didn't know how to do it? So share a little bit with the audience just about your own personal journeys so we can start to get to know you individually, because I only see you together.
Yeah, we're like a salt and pepper set. So even our cars are salt and pepper shaker. They're like matching set. Yeah, so we both started off very separately, and we have very similar stories actually, like with our timelines and like how it went through. But it was just like after having kids and being married, it's like going through the slog. You just have like those moments. I had a panic attack in my kitchen with having a day home, a child's mind. And I'm just like, no, like everything around is like my fault and I have to do something about it now. And which led me to like reading the different books and realizing the bubble baths weren't working, and which led me to working on my intuition, which led me to working with Renee and making some like huge changes in my life with like selling a house, getting a divorce, moving towns and cities, and coming into like this place here.
So how did the two of you meet?
That's kind of a very convoluted story, actually. We actually went to school together, but in different grades. I graduated with Megan's younger brother, and we ended up talking through another connection, like another acquaintance.
Their business connection, yeah.
And we started helping each other with our own personal businesses. And then one day we were like sitting there after I had a stroke because she was coming and visiting me because I couldn't drive. And we're like, we should like start like this one little Facebook group together.
We should go into business together. But we both had not good experiences with business partners in the past. I was very hesitant. Yeah. And Renee's like, no, this is important. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
It kind of went from there with the business side of things.
Wow.
We're fast.
And it's often having that, because I can hear there that you've had each other to be able to take that step into doing this. But very often women are faced with being quite alone in that decision. And even though they might not like where they are, the uncertainty of that future that they want is a big enough barrier to keep them stuck there.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, we both started off very alone.
Yeah. What we find when it comes to, like, let's say business partners is we try and jump into business partners too soon because we want the other person to save us, or we want someone to blame if something doesn't go right.
Very subconscious.
We always really recommend that you start off individually and do some of the healing that you need to do there. So then you can like allow the other person to come in and have the intimacy and the connection that you're actually looking for on that like partner level.
Absolutely. And it's that partner. I love that word because I talk about partnership all the time.
Yes.
anybody that, even when it's coming to, even if I'm hiring a VA, it's like looking at how can we be working in partnership, and getting to know each other from here, not just from a transactional, extrinsic task.
Yeah.
Because then there's real connection and real belonging. And doesn't matter what comes up, you're going to be able to work through it because your relationship's stronger.
Actually, I was just thinking that. It's like the relationship with everything. It's with each other. It's with the business. It's with everything else. It's all relationship.
And what do you find, because you've worked with hundreds of women, but over your coaching, your courses, your Reiki, your retreats that you do, my goodness, and you've got children all in the mix there. And oh goodness. But what from the women that you work with, what has been some of the examples of what have helped them to step forward and step out and step up to valuing themselves, and that what they start to connect with, what their real purpose is here?
Yeah. That's a really good question. There's usually a few different parts to it. A lot of times too, when people first come to us, they feel like they don't know how to make a decision. But it's not, they can make a decision, they just don't know how to follow through because they don't have the support or the confidence that they're making the right decision. So we help them with that and like being able to find their interest, like, no, even though this is really scary, I can still make this decision and like follow through. But then there's this whole other level that we work with too, is where people place their value. And it's like we put our own personal value externally in business, in relationships, in money, in tangible objects, wanting to be validated as a valuable human being by giving our value away for others. And then there's another part to that too, where people also take the value from others to keep them on the pedestal and like feeling like it's like with that level of perfection, then nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
So we do that. And it's like when people really start to see where they're putting their value and where we can ask the right questions to get them to see it, have it make sense for them in a way with understanding and compassion and without judgment, I think is the biggest thing. Then they can start to really practice the personal responsibilities. Like, here I am giving away my value. Here I am taking away someone's value. Here I am judging someone. Here I am in competition with like another coach or someone that's similar, that it's like, why is this like bringing it everything when they're like working with us, it's bringing everything back to them every single time and what they can do about it.
Which leaves them empowered.
Yeah.
And we feel like in the coaching community, that's where a lot of the stuff is missing, because a lot of them will focus on just the empowerment part, and it almost enables the behavior instead of having the correction of the behavior to be able to move forward and establish the connection that everybody's like really looking for.
Yeah. We get to the root like right away. And then that's when we can get to the root, then you can see people, they start to practice on like these small doses. They start practicing with themselves and they start practicing within their home, and then they can start practicing bringing their value back, like in their business and in their like spousal relationships, and then with their in-laws and with their own family of origin.
One of our key phrases is clean up your own side of the street. And
Absolutely.
so when we're having our like community nights, they're like, okay, I cleaned up my own side of the street. I did this, I did this, and I did this. And it's like, and then he listened, and it's like, that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. So it's like when you bring the focus back, and it's just, I think too, it's like a lot of clients can get, it's like we mentally give ourselves a hard time for being in the same pattern. We're like, oh, like I've been working on this and here I am again doing this thing. But it's like when you can practice it, you get out of it faster each time. You see it sooner each time. You feel like you're in more control. And I think that's where like the confidence can come through. That's what we see.
Because it's like what I'm hearing there is the V word. It's such a power word. The value word is just at the core of everything. I call it like
everything. It's everything.
And so much, when I look back on the years that I would be looking extrinsically for satisfaction and approval, and blaming others and not looking in my own mirror, not taking responsibility. Actually, at the core of it, if somebody had said to me, what are your personal values? I wouldn't have known how to answer that.
Yeah. And
I didn't have a clue. But the moment you anchor and literally anchor into those, then they are the foundation of every single decision.
Absolutely.
Totally stops you from being, the saying I always talk about is off fur coat and nae knickers. So you've got
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
That's
come in,
accurate.
it's true, you know exactly what I mean. You know, especially when we're in this online global space, you know, people saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the next thing. And actually, they're all fur coat and knickers. They're actually living in fear that somebody's going to say, would you like me to hang up your coat? Do you know, they've no knickers on. They're just putting that out there because they're making decisions that are based not on their values, but
Yes.
they're not connected to them. But the moment you are, you can start to say, no.
There's alignment, and it's like that's where it's like this this innate like inner strength and like that empowerment, and like it's like that inner calm warrior. It's like this peaceful joy, right? Where you're like, no, I'm aligned. Like I know who I am and what I want, and like nobody can like mess with that. Yeah,
and it's very hard to find your core values alone.
Yeah,
because you can do it alone to a point, but you usually just get to the surface of what it is just because the words match how you feel. But when you can really get to what the actual value is, it makes all the other ones make sense.
Yeah. Totally. And the thing is, unless you're going to go that deep into it, and that's where I know that all three of us have been through that journey. And I think it's an eternal journey of just checking, because as you grow, as you develop, as your identity shifts, I know I'm constantly checking, are my values still aligned to this new emergent woman all the time? But being in that emergent space is hard work. It's really, really tough. So I know that when you say to me, it's so difficult, you can only go so far alone, that I know that from my experience, that is so true. And that's why I have amazing colleagues that I feel connected to around me, that I can pick up the phone to, or so send me messages from across the globe, or I've got a coach who you're checking in and getting that accountability all the time. And just being able to get that support. So really, really super important. Now, I know that you have some frameworks, and it's just trying to, for everybody, because we've got a beautiful audience tonight, that you have some frameworks to help people on that journey of going from that burnout to hopeful and to motivated. Are there any that you would be able to share with us tonight that might be just little nuggets that people can take away?
Yeah, I think so. We kind of, we have this saying, it's like the spiral staircase of awareness. So we find that like when we're in the same pattern, say with like our spouse fighting about like the same argument every 3 months, that we tend to feel like we're going around in circles, and we're like, here we are again. It's like the same thing all the time. But instead of thinking that we're stuck in the same spot and running kind of a loop in a path in the ground, what we talk about is a spiral staircase of awareness. So the first step to any healing is awareness, and realizing that you're actually moving up the staircase with each pattern, being able to, even though you have the same viewpoint out, you're at a higher level each time. So you can see the perspective changes. You're like, you see your part in it, you see their part in it, you see that there's an actual problem, a root to it. It's not fighting with each other, it's fighting what the problem is. So each time you go through it, you learn something a little bit more every time. And then when you start to really work on your patterns and having like, okay, like this is where it is, I'm trying to put my value in this, so I'm going to bring my value back every time, you get to a point where you see it after it's happened, after the fight, you're like, oh, dang it, that was like me just looking for validation. I'm like, I'm not going to do that next time. And then you see it, you're in the same argument again. And then like halfway through the argument, you're like, holy man, we're like having the same argument. Here I go. I'm giving away my value. And then you start to, and then the next time it happens, you see it as you're going into it, and you're able to stop it. And then you see it way before it actually happens. You're like, I am totally picking a fight, looking to put my value somewhere. So you have like these steps that you're going through. It's not a light switch. It's not going to happen right away. But awareness is the first step. And we actually have like 4 A's that we teach for the patterns.
So we have awareness, we have like acknowledgement, acceptance, and accountability. So those are the 4 steps that you have to work through to be able to get to the next side. One of the biggest things that Megan was talking about is like with value is understanding that there are only 3 places that you ever put it. And that's in like business and success, that's in money, or that's in relationships with other people. So if you are in business for yourself and someone asks you how your business is doing or how things are going, how do you respond? Is it, oh, you know, it's really good, we made 6 figures this year? Because then you're putting your value in the money part of things. Is it, oh, it's really good, I'm helping thousands of clients, you're putting it in the success of the business. And then if it's like, oh, it's like really good, we have, I don't know how we can connect like the relationship part of that, but what happens is usually a fear in business is not succeeding because you need to have a partner, or you need to have a relationship, or you need to have like a romantic partner to be able to do that because you don't want to succeed.
My like partner is really supportive. He's in the business now too. We're all working together. It's like one big happy family, even if that may or may not be true.
So being able to identify where you put your value in that way, and how you try and put yourself on like the metaphorical pedestal of if everything is perfect, because we all have perfection tendencies. Is everything's perfect, then I belong. And the innate human behavior is trying to belong. And if we can belong, we'll be accepted. And if we're accepted, we won't be abandoned. But what happens is that usually causes the competitive nature, because once we're up at that level, we don't want someone taking it away. And so we start picking fights in all the areas and start trying to be better than.
Yeah. What I think I love about what you both do is I often see people looking, when they talk about getting support and having people around them and having teams, especially when you're developing a business, they're looking very much further, really far away from them. Really far away. And they can meet amazing people, but they're always feeling like they're fighting a tsunami. And it's because they haven't actually attended to the relationships that are absolutely the people they wake up with in the morning, the people they eat dinner with, those close relationships around them that actually are their most obvious team. And given that attention, and I love that you both do work specifically around that, because that's that fundamental foundation that if you're getting it right there, then you will get it right elsewhere.
Because it's like even deeper than that though, you have to have that relationship with yourself. That it's like you can't have that relationship within your home unless you have like that trust and like the care like for yourself. It's like the example of putting your own oxygen mask on first. When you go into a plane, they do the thing, they're like, don't put it on your kids first, put it on you first, because you're useless to anybody unless you can take care of yourself first. So it's like being able to do it in your own home, but it's like you have to learn how to be like your own best friend and take care of your own needs before you can like really and develop that healthy relationship with yourself and know who you are with your values, where you're placing it, where your core values are and your purpose, and then being able to expand that within the home and make it safe to do so.
And like self-care is important and it's crucial, but self-care isn't just bubble baths and naps. It goes into boundaries, but you don't know how to set proper boundaries or voice proper boundaries if you don't know how to bring your value back. If you can bring your value back, you know what you're fighting for.
Absolutely. I often say, and I've said this to my children as they've grown up, and they used to roll their eyes at me constantly because living with me as a mother was a nightmare. It really was.
We feel bad for our kids too sometimes.
They would say, don't do all your work crap with me. Do you know? Whereas it's actually now they're in their 20s, I can hear them saying these things. And things like, if you don't, why would others value you if you don't value yourself? And it really does start with that place. And I know that you do specific work around all that internal work of self, and then how that then relates to your immediate environment and the people that are around it, which is wonderful. I often say that family especially is that place to learn tolerance of difference. Real tolerance of difference. And most families don't do it. They just end up fighting and being at conflict, and the difference being the thing that tears them apart rather than brings them together. But actually, you can be very different as human beings and personality. But if you're understanding and connected to one another's values and coming from that place, you can really connect.
We say that to the kids too, because they struggle with like being able to say no and being able to have their voice. And it's like, if you can't practice that in a safe environment within your own family, then it's even like, we say this to like our girls are like 12 and 13, that it's like we're teaching women in their 30s on how to do this, and they're learning this as teenagers and as like young kids. Is like having that safe space to practice being able to say no and have that respected and listened to. I guess we're not used to, a lot of us aren't used to that either.
I know that because that's a familiar one for me. So my girls had that same experience. And they had a different lens on when it came to watching what was going on with their peers. And I don't know about your kids, because I know they're a bit younger than mine now. And that was about 13. What age is
mine's
it?
13.
13.
Yeah, 13, 12, 9, and 8.
Because I don't know about you, but what my children then experienced was that there was a disconnect between them and their peers, because they understood things in a different way and didn't understand why they would get caught up in drama and bitching and hurting one another. And that really did create a bit of a shift for them that they found difficult, actually. So they had this older head on what was generally on their younger body. And their peers didn't quite understand their thinking. So I know it was quite tough. But all I can say to you, ladies, is that by the time they get to their 20s, it really does come into play.
Oh my goodness. We actually noticed a pattern this year of ours. You're okay if I talk about, but it's like being able to notice how like we were self-sabotaging our success because we didn't want our kids to go through that. We didn't want them to be like ostracized for having very different like parents in this lifestyle that's very different and even like thinking very different. So we were self-sabotaging and holding ourselves back so that like our kids wouldn't have to do that and be accepted, or like have to go through that struggle with acceptance, because they do think very differently. We talk about like we were very open about business and about money and about relationships, and it's a very personal responsibility in how we speak in the house, and then they go to school and speak like that, and that is not how their friends talk, and that's not how their friends' parents talk at all. So it's like we definitely noticed how we were holding ourselves back from that, and have had to like course correct. Knowing that that's like part of their life lesson too.
Yeah. I know that there's been, oh gosh, I could probably tell 100 stories of the girls growing up. They'll always, when I come onto these talk shows, the girls will say to me, please don't mention me.
Just because they're so lovely and you're so proud of them.
Absolutely. Well, it is. It's when your child can be a young woman and turn around and go, do you know what so-and-so did? And it'll be a peer. Do you know, their mum and dad got them a brand new car and they were moaning about it being the wrong colour. What is that all about? Why would you want somebody to be giving you stuff like that and you're not even working for it? Or somebody said to them, oh, you're really lucky, you've got loads of money. And my daughter's just experienced that going to university. But she's turning around going, oh, hold on a minute, I've got loads of money and savings in my bank because I've been working 2 jobs for 2 years.
Yep.
So I've saved up my money, thanks very much. And that's when, as a parent, having went through all that with them, that you just have this, you find yourself feeling about 6'2". Do you know, as this independent thinking young person. And very often, knowing people talk about what's your legacy in life. I say now, mine's is done. Do you know, I can go and bring them in here just now if you want, and I'll let you see them. Because, they're doing pretty cool. But isn't it amazing how, I mean, even this conversation, it's not just about impacting women and the challenges that those women are facing, but the change in me made a massive shift in the way that I parent.
Yep.
And now I'm getting to an age where I can see the impact of that shift and the positive, beautiful impact of that shift on my children. And that's when I was looking at everything that you do, I thought, my goodness, the impact that your work can have on women, juggling families, being mums, all of that expectation at that pivotal time in children's lives is amazing.
Absolutely. And we treat that very much like how we treat like our clients and the people in our life and everything else, is like everybody's opinion and what they want matters. Everything that they have and everything that they feel is of value, and it's valid, and it has to be respected.
And it's like in teaching that you don't get to decide if and when you've upset someone.
Yeah. It's all powerful stuff, isn't it? And I think that's the thing about, people say to me just in the last few months, you know, how's coaching been? It must be tough because there's tons of coaches. And I'll say, yeah, but there's also tons of plumbers.
Yeah, there's never it's
never
like
be enough.
Yeah, I remember seeing your post. It's like there's never enough.
And we were just talking about this the other day, is every coach does something different.
Yeah.
And you need more than one to be able to reach certain things. So it's like you can have someone that teaches you the logistics of business. You can have someone that teaches you the energetics and the manifesting and the spiritual side of business. And then you can have people that are like us that teach you the relationship side of it. And
Totally.
you can't have just like one isn't always just enough.
We have
It might
four.
be one at a time, but knowing that you have to go through the array of what all of them are to be able to get to like where you really want to be if you want to find like the balance in it.
Yeah. I know that at one point in the pandemic, we had across the businesses 2 coaches and 2 mentors all at the same time. And then people say, how did you do that? And I'll go, well, I didn't. Do you know, I wouldn't have been able to do any of it had I not had the support of that. But being able to have a whole range of coaches, all different experiences that bring into your practice, all different types of personalities, all different price structures, because there's all this big thing about high ticket. Actually, we need people that are still doing it for free. We need people that are charging $20, £20, because there'll always be somebody who that's what they can manage to enter into coaching with. And the main thing is about getting people connected to the right support to help them to be the best version of themselves in this most glorious life that we absolutely have. So, ladies, it has been a pleasure, as always, to hear you and your story and your work. Can you maybe share, let people know if they're wanting to connect with you, how do they get in touch with you? Where do they find you?
Yeah, everything that we have listed is on our website at Kindred, KINDREDSCC, for selfcarecommunity.ca. We're super active on Facebook and on Instagram, but our free Facebook group is like on Facebook with Kindred Self-Care Community. That's where we love to do stories, we love to hang out, and we love DMs. Love it.
That's brilliant. So if anybody is looking to reach out to Renee or Megan, you know where to get them. And I know I was on your website today. It's truly beautiful. It's very elegant.
Thank you. We worked so hard on it.
Oh, it's so elegant. Do you know how the amount of websites you go into? And it's just so fussy and it pings at you the whole time and it's just distressing. Whereas yours is just elegant. Really, really elegant. So do look there. So it's
KindredSCC.ca.
How many times have you said that?
A million.
It's in all of our introductions.
Yeah, I cannot say I'm Megan, I'm Renee, and together it's like our little intro every time. It's in my head.
So what we'll do is we'll put your website connection into the chat for wherever this is being streamed into, so that people can connect with you. It's been a pleasure, ladies. I look forward to the months and year ahead of having you in my life and my network. Absolutely. And I'm sure there'll be more and more opportunities to be able to together impact more and more women across this beautiful world of ours. So everybody, the Fierce and Fabulous Society Talk Show, I've no idea why I started saying it that way, but anyway, it seems to work, is here every Tuesday at 7:00, bringing you inspirational, achieving and just the most incredible women sharing their stories to help you on your journey through life, through business. And I look forward to joining you again next week, 7 p.m. for the Fierce and Fabulous Talk Show. And we'll see you all then. Take care, everyone.